Hello, 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 hello. So doing another Q&A, mainly for the guys who've done the free SEO course that I put out a few months back, because there's always someone who has got questions that need answered. So no matter how basic your question is, as I say, this is targeted at the guys who've done the free SEO course, people who maybe have questions that they don't normally ask, or scared to ask. There's no such thing as a stupid question. We've all been there, guys. So make sure that you just ask whatever the hell you want to ask. It's no such thing as a bad question. MW, good to see you. Facebook user, hello mates. If you allow Facebook to see your name and shit like that, then your name can pull across here. But with some Facebook profiles, it just doesn't bring across, so I can't see who you are. But hello anyway. But as I say, this is question and answer sessions for guys out there who've done the free course and maybe have some basic stuff that they want to ask, or listen, ask advanced stuff if you wish. But I just feel that at times we do question and answer sessions, and maybe some people are not wanting to ask something in case they look stupid. This is the perfect show for you. And hi, Carol. Hope all is well. So yeah, this is the perfect question and answer session where I'm more than happy to answer any basic question you want. Doesn't have to be SEO related. It can be digital related, business related, whatever. More than happy to get it done. I'm all good, Gary. All good, other than my hair's not grown back yet. But hopefully it does soon. But yeah, all good, mate. Can't complain. But guys, yeah, put your questions in the live chats and I will answer them as they come in. Also, let me know where you're from. Also, make sure that you give us a like and a subscribe as well. So, yep, just sending someone a quick message there. But yeah, guys, come on, don't be quiet, don't be shy, ask away. I know it takes a few minutes for people to jump in on the show and stuff like that. But this is your opportunity to ask away. Ziggy, first one. Does CTR manipulation affect Amazon, Etsy, eBay listings? Do you know what? I've never actually tested it on that. I would imagine it would, because I think podcasts and everything else, even social media platforms are manipulated in some way by CTR. The likes of TikTok, Instagram, and all of that kind of stuff are all, if the kind of stuff gets viewed more, then of course it's going to be shown to a much wider audience. So I would imagine that would be the case, but I haven't tested it on those platforms purely because I don't use those platforms for selling or anything. But something worth trying to test and see what comes of it. But for me, I would imagine that it would have a positive impact. But don't just listen to me. Try it out on those platforms. Do I bother with CTR manipulation with blog posts? No, not really, because the problem I've got there, MW, is I release a lot of blog posts, and some of these blog posts can rank organically, without too much of a push, just on content alone and whatnot. And for me, it's there'd be too much cost involved for a start. But secondly, certain things don't need CTR manipulation to rank well. Some stuff just ranks in content alone. Some stuff just, it gets organic click through and you don't have to do it. I think for me, I look at high volume search terms that are maybe sticking and maybe don't go past position 5 or something like that. It's those that I would be doing a bit of CTR on to try and, nudge it up to the next level. But it'd be far too costly to do it for every blog post, to be honest. So anything that warrants it, anything that's going to bring me in a huge amount of traffic, of course, I'll do it. But yeah, that's how I kind of filter it out. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question, NW. Guys, make sure you do get more questions in. With questions like this, how to start SEO, those are not really questions that I can answer as such, purely because how to start SEO, where do you start, how to start a blog, how to make money online. These are not questions for a question and answer session. That's something you would need to ask someone who had hours to sit down and tell you the best starting point for you. How to start an SEO, read a book, watch videos, learn from people, and then find out, the thing for me is, what is SEO? How to start an SEO. Are you going to be an affiliate guy? Are you going to be an agency guy? Are you going to be a content writer? Are you going to be the tech guy? So all of these come under the term SEO, if you like. There is no right or wrong way to start and no right or wrong place to position yourself. You need to find out what you enjoy. You need to find out or understand what you don't know and try and learn it and then make a career of it. But as MW says, there's a free course there that will give you the basic fundamentals of SEO, some of the tools you need to use and stuff like that. Now, the course is not in-depth, super technical or anything like that. The purpose of that course is to give you a basic understanding of what you need to do to get better rankings, alongside some of the tools that are used to help you do your research and analyze your websites and whatnot. So do the course. There's 300 plus videos in there, I believe. No, that's a lie. It's 153 videos that are on there. But I've got 300 plus videos on YouTube, which will give you a much better idea. Best tool of SEO, SEMrush or Ahrefs, but again, best tool is very, very generic. Is it the best content writing tool? Is it the best WordPress plugin for speed? Is it the best site order? There's different tools for different everything. So the best tool of SEO is very, very vague and not a question that warrants a valid answer. Be very specific with your questions, guys, because there's different tools for different stuff. If you tell me what you're stuck with, or stuff like that, WordPress SEO tool. So I'm actually going to block you because I think you're just wasting my time, to be honest. You're asking just stupid questions, and they're not able, it's not something I can be bothered wasting my time answering on a question and answer session. There's other people with other questions, such as, how to optimize a single page local business site from multiple locations. So your question here already kind of answers itself. I wouldn't use a single page website for multiple locations. The reason being is every location that I had would have a page on my website. So how you could go about optimizing a single page local business website for multiple locations, the only real way you can do it is get a whole bunch of GMBs and register them address, and then use the pin up to, I think it's up to 60 kilometers away you can get away with, and you don't have to re-verify. So that's the only way you're ever going to get away with, kind of driving traffic from GMBs to a single page website as if you do that through GMB. And blanket the whole area, because obviously proximity comes into play and stuff like that. So you'll see multiple businesses that have got, you know, dots all over the place. Don't overdo it, but that is what I would do. You know, if you're tied into having a single page website and you don't want to have multiple locations, because if you were doing it properly, I would have a location page for every single location, which is of course not possible with a single page website. So hopefully that helps. Ziggy, what CTR bots would you suggest for those platforms, eBay, etc.? Chris's tool or any others? Again, because I've not done it, Ziggy, I'm not able to say the best tool for that. But Chris is a super smart guy, and I would probably follow what he was doing. I think he will probably have tried a lot of different tools and probably uses the best on the market there. The CTR bots that I use would be like ctrbooster.com, but they only really work on organic search and on YouTube. They're not built for eBay or anything. So I would have a look at what Chris is saying. As I say, it's just not a platform that I've really had to apply any CTR to. So I'm not up to speed with the best bots are for that. But yeah, have a look at what Chris is using. As we all know, very smart guy, and someone that we could pick up those tips from. So Gary Patterson, I can't show you how to use Scrapebox, but if you Google Scrapebox tutorial, I do have a very long blog post on it, which shows you some of the different stuff that it can do. But it's for scraping data. So if you want to scrape stuff from websites, then it works very well for that. You can fill out contact forms of the website. You can do blog comments. You can do a whole heap of other stuff. But it's mainly for me a scraping tool. So if I want to scrape data together using Scrapebox or scrape a list or whatever it might be, then Scrapebox is what I would use it for personally. Obviously, blog commenting is old hat and isn't effective, but we used to use it for that. You used to also use it for spamming the crap out of people, where you could basically smash everyone's contact form with a message and all of that kind of stuff. So it was a mass spamming tool as well as being a scraper back in the day. But mainly the unique selling point of the Scrapebox today is its scraping ability. Just it's still a great scraper and works very well. And for example, I might scrape up a list of whatever and and use it effectively. Even if I was going to use something like GSA, you can use GSA's list of websites, or I could scrape a list of websites using Scrapebox. And scraping up your own stuff is going to allow you to get better results, because it's not the same as what everyone else has. But yeah, there's so many different things with Scrapebox that you can do. People use it for a wide range of different things. And yeah, I've got a full blog post on it, but it's one of those ones you could do a full hour long demonstration on it. But I will perhaps do a video on Scrapebox and some of the key things that it does for today. I will bear that in mind. Vikas Gupta, is ClickFunnels worth investing in, or is there any cheap alternatives for funnels? I mean, there's always alternatives. There's lots of different stuff out there. ClickFunnels is good, but again, it really depends on what you're trying to achieve. ClickFunnels, I know people that have made serious amounts of money by using ClickFunnels and everything else. But what is a funnel? That's the question. What I mean, can you do stuff yourself? Can you use alternative platforms? There's, so for example, right, I'm getting a mini chat bot built for Facebook and everything else, and you can create funnels using that. Do I need ClickFunnels for that? Absolutely not. So it depends on what you're trying to achieve with the traffic that you do have. and you know, what else are you using round about that? Now, it's, you know, it's all about marketing and selling your products and everything else. That's what you know, a funnel is, and we want to make sure that you know, basically get your visitors going through a journey, whether that's signing up for this and then you do a kind of soft funnel approach or whatever. And ClickFunnels does it really well, but you know, there's so many other things where you can, you know, nurture leads and nurture people through that journey before giving them the kind of sleazy sales pitch. And you know, my funnel might be different, whereas I might use informational stuff to get people into a funnel, sign up to a mailing list, and then softly, you know, take them through a sequence of events that can happen. And you know, you've got things out there that are, in my opinion, a lot better than ClickFunnels, such as Go High Level and stuff like that, where you know, you can take people through text messaging sequences to you know, get them on board and stuff like that. So you can use a lot of smarter ways of working rather than your traditional email marketing and all that kind of stuff. So Go High Level, for me, is a great tool and the best out there in terms of an overall, you know, platform where you can still do emails. It's got like a ClickFunnels page builder built in there, but you can do text message marketing. You can do a whole bunch of other stuff. And I've actually got a video on Go High Level on my on my YouTube channel, so you can see what else it does. And for me, that allows you more freedom to do whatever the hell you like. And I think, you know, people are sick of the same old funnels, that, you know, people want to do quirky different stuff and maybe use more advanced technology such as the text messaging marketing and stuff like that. So that's why I'm going to go for Go High Level as an option for you to have a look at over and above ClickFunnels. But ClickFunnels is still a great tool, by the way. Don't let me talk you out of that. Made by Shape. Hope you're good, Andy. Purely from a pure SEO point of view, how do you think Google page speed tests are in terms of rankings? Example, 80 out of 100 scores because external plugins sometimes mean you can't get 100 out of 100. So on this, Andy, I think a lot of people you know, obsess, and we all obsess over things. You know, we want to optimize and we want to get 100 out of 100 for everything we can. Now, does going from a score of 80, you know, trying to get that to 100, what is the impact that would have on your rankings? Is it huge? I would say no. As you've said there, sometimes plugins and stuff like that just mean that you're just never going to be able to get 100 out of 100 unless you're using, you know, a flat HTML website or something like that. So you've got to weigh up the kind of time that's spent obsessing over that small 20% and the difference that would make in terms of rankings. And for me, having something that's 80 out of 100 is good. I wouldn't be obsessing, because people, you know, obsess over these minute little details and it doesn't actually have a high value. Get more links, get more content, you know, do something else, build a better funnel, whatever. You know, there's so many other things that you can be doing rather than getting obsessed with, you know, getting 100 out of 100. Whilst I totally get it, because I'm that OCD guy as well, where, and that's why I don't use the Yoast SEO plugin, believe it or not, because that traffic light signal thing, you know, hurts my OCD, so to speak, and just rubs me up the wrong way. You know, if I don't get it green, and we know sometimes that it's just impossible to get it green because it just doesn't make sense, that gets to me. So, but yeah, to try and avoid obsessions like that, because there's just some things that you can't control. I think, you know, having 80 out of 100 is a reasonably good score, and I think anything beyond that is just OCD. So there you go. Hope that answers that. 24 Sumo. I have an e-commerce website, but not many products. I want to have a separate page with text for every keyword, which will be around 50. The problem is these categories will have the same products in most of them. This will will this count as duplicate content or look bad to Google? So yes, you're going to start to have cannibalization issues. You're going to have duplicate content issues. You're going to have a whole lot of stuff. So you only need, one page doesn't have to target one keyword. You can catch 2, 3, 4 keywords with a page. If you're going to have multiple categories with the same products, I think there's going to be some crossover where some categories can have similar products in there. That's not always a bad thing, but for such a small website and everything else, then you are going to run into problems because Google are not going to know which URL to rank well for the search terms that you're going after. And I think for me, that's where clever SEO has to come into play. When you're running an e-commerce store anyway, you want to no follow, no index certain URLs and stuff like that, so that you do show Google that this is the page for this particular product or service, and it's the only one on your website that you want to rank. So yeah, you have to think of the best way you can possibly do this without having 2 pages with the same products and the same everything else competing with each other, because that's no good. So yeah, you just need to think or map it out down in paper or in your head as to the best way to do that. Yeah, I'll do that, Gary, because a lot of people do still ask about scrapebox. Believe it or not, it's one of the oldest tools out there, but still to this day, a lot of people use it, and a lot of people are asking for, what can I use it for and stuff like that. So I'll definitely do a video on it. And Chris Palmer, yes, mate, 7 a.m. Where you are, it's 12 noon here, but you know what it's like, mate. You're rolling out videos at all sorts of weird and wonderful times. And why not? Why not? Nick Lee is here. Good to see you, my man. Kyle Arnold. Regarding engagement manipulation, site hit front page for one of the main money keywords, but it's pretty high volume, around 30 to 40K per month. Obviously, links are happening, but was curious if something like engagement manipulation would be effective at that kind of search volume. Yes, of course it is. Regardless of the search volume, CTR manipulation or engagement manipulation or whatever you want to call it is going to work regardless. Obviously, 30 to 40,000 keywords per month does mean that, if you want to kind of move the needle in terms of doing a bit of engagement manipulation, it's not going to take 5 or 6 people hitting your website for that manipulation to happen. It might be 500 or 600 or 5,000 or 6,000. So it may take a little bit more of a push. But yes, I do when I'm doing click-through rate or engagement manipulation, I do try it out on high volume keywords, and it works just as well, mate. So yeah, same process. Hello, Kiki Animations. Darla, can a website rank with only 5 to 10 articles? Of course it can. But obviously, if you had 20 or 30 articles, it would rank for more keywords. It's impossible to rank for keywords without content. So if you're only going after 5 or 10 5 or 10 different things, then fine. And you can rank for a whole bunch of keywords based around that. So yeah, it is possible. You see pages with 5, websites with 5 pages. They do have rankings, but I think most people would want to scale that and stuff like that. So there you go. Made by Shape. Cheers, boss. No worries, mate. Persis. Pratik, is it possible to rank an article on first page without backlinking to it? Yes, I've seen many articles out there that hit page 1 in content alone. So yeah, it can work. Obviously, if you're going to turn around and try and go after something like casino, then absolutely not. But for specific terms, local terms and stuff like that, content can carry you a long way. So it is possible. People go after for, people. In fact, 80% of people who do SEO don't actually do link building, believe it or not, and they do get some decent traffic from, you know, on page and content and everything else. I think backlinks just help propel you into that next level and stuff like that. But yeah, for sure, you can do it. What are my thoughts on EmRead? I don't even know what EmRead is. Explain, Nix. I have no clue what you mean by EmRead. I'm going to Google it. EmRead. Oh, right. Machine readable entities, right. So EmRead's a new word that people are for. So yeah, it's not even a new word. People have been using it for a while. I just don't really call it that. I'm not sure actually what I do call it. But what is my opinion on leveraging machine readable entity IDs for SEO? Listen, we do GMB stuff, and people talk about the CID URL and stuff like that. So that kind of fits into that kind of stuff. And listen, I think there's people that, you know, you've got to embrace what's going on out there. And obviously, if there is machine IDs and stuff like that, and CID URLs and various other bits and bobs, and you can, you know, link to them or use them as part of your SEO process, then why the hell wouldn't you? You've got to embrace everything else that's going on out there. That, you know, SEO's not changed as such for many, many years, but all of these small little things do come into play and can make a hell of a difference. And I think that's why you need to keep on top of the game and see how it works, and you know, test that stuff out and see what other people are doing with it as well, and reverse engineer all that stuff. So it's not, you know, I'm not doing a huge amount of stuff on that, Nix, in all honesty, but you know, and I don't actually know if many people are, if I'm being honest. And you know, I speak to a lot of different SEOs, and you know, the kind of CID thing and all that, you know, as you've seen in various other shows, you know, people are doing little bits and bobs with it, but I don't think it's fully out there yet, you know, in terms of optimizing and playing around with it too much. I may be missing a trick though. So yeah, but there you go. But I've learned what EmRead means now, so thank you for educating me, Nix. What do I think about EDU backlinks in 2020? So listen, does EDU backlinks pass value? They probably still do. They're not as good as they once were, you know, in terms of everyone, you know, obsessing over them like they were, you know, 5-10 years ago, or whenever the craze was for EDU backlinks. But you know, there's still some powerful websites out there, you know, that you know, that have the .edu domains, and if it's relevant, why not? You know, for me, backlinks are really important when they're relevant and they have traffic coming from them. I don't care whether it's a .edu or whatever else. I want the value. The value for me is that that website has its own rankings, it has its own traffic, and it's relevant to my niche. So I wouldn't be all out just looking for EDU backlinks or anything like that. Hopefully that answers your question. And Jimmy Harley, what are your views on outsourcing? Well, I think COVID alone has kind of shown people that you can work from home, you can outsource a lot of work. If you haven't been outsourcing, I've been outsourcing for many years, in all honesty. But what I would say, Jimmy, is I started an agency many years ago, and one of the biggest failures I had was just hiring local people. Now, nothing against local people, but you can get things done by outsourcing a hell of a lot quicker, hell of a lot cheaper, and you don't have that management of people and holiday pay and PAYE and a whole bunch of other stuff. And you can outsource the grunt work that you are just not good at, and you can sell someone else's great skills, great services and stuff like that. So I think everything that I would say about outsourcing is positive. Of course, there's dodgy people, you know, you outsourced a crappy, you know, content writer or whatever, and you may have a kind of poor experience on that. But in general, as long as you do the right due diligence and the right research, then outsourcing can be very, very beneficial. It can also relieve a lot of stress on you, the business owner, and take that noose around your neck from hiring, 5 local staff. You could potentially have 15, 20 of the same people by outsourcing it. So I think, and as I say, with COVID and people working from home and all that kind of stuff, I think outsourcing's grown and listen, can't speak highly enough about it. If you want to scale, you're going to have to outsource. Delegation is the key to any good business. And listen, not just in SEO. What do a lot of where the Apple make their MacBooks and stuff like that? They're not made in America. They're outsourced to China or whatever, and people are churning them out for fun there because there's a lower cost of living, and business is business. So we've got to be smarter about it. If it's good enough for the big boys, then it's good enough for the small fries like us as well. So yeah, do it, man. Do it. Darla, does a video on YouTube needs SEO? I mean, does SEO on YouTube videos get a significant role, like in website, or is it only videos, which means... So listen, Darla, there's a few ways to look at this. If you have a video on a page, it may retain the person on that page. If it's embedded into your website, it may allow your page to have like 10 minutes worth of watch time, which is, engagement, click-through rate and everything else. So indirectly, that's helping your SEO. Does a video on YouTube need SEO? So you do have to optimize your videos, use the right tags and the right header. And then it all comes down to engagement, how much watches it gets and likes and interaction. So down to the quality of video essentially is what's going to help get your video, get all of those views. But does having a video that gets 10,000 views automatically mean your SEO is going to improve? Absolutely not. So there is no part directly by having a great video that means you're going to have great SEO. So it can help with other factors such as time and website and stuff like that. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Can I talk about some outsourcing fails? Fuck me. Listen, we've all been there. We've all outsourced to someone who's not done a good job, just had a really crappy website or whatever. I used to outsource a lot of web design and outsourced it to people. In fact, I'll tell you a funny story. I once had a client who done alcohol delivery to your house. So this guy, he owned a kind of alcohol store, and the biggest part of his business was the phone calls at 2 or 3 in the morning when people were having a house party and people said, like, can you just send over a couple of cases of Budweiser and a couple of bottles of wine or whatever? He would run out, deliver that stuff. So it's alcohol delivery 24/7, basically, is what he'd done. Now, I had a content writer at the time, and part of that process was sitting with the person, telling them, what way I wanted structured and blah, 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 blah. And so I told them what the client was. They deliver alcohol to, house parties and all that stuff. And let the person go and write the content. They came back. The article basically said why alcohol is bad for your liver. You shouldn't drink in the street. You shouldn't be drinking full stop, and a whole bunch of other garbage. Now, I went to that person and I went, oh, what the actual fuck is this? And they're like, yeah, it couldn't be as easy as you said, Craig. I can't just surely write about, this person delivers any old alcohol that you want delivered to your door if you've got a house party, blah, 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 blah. And basically this person had overcomplicated the whole thing in their head and come up with some, crock of bullshit that just simply wouldn't work on that person's website. So there's so many stories, mate. Like, I've outsourced web design and you give people a spec and it comes back looking nothing like that. You tell people you want websites built from the ground up and they still use a crappy £40 WordPress template and try and kid on that, they hand-coded it. Listen, there's endless amounts of stories on outsourcing fails because these schmucks, they do some of the stuff, try and pull the wool over your eyes. And obviously, although I'm not good at web design, I know what a WordPress template is. I know all the tricks in the book. You know, I've ran an agency for years where we used to sell the same crappy template time and time again and just changed the color and told people it was built from the ground up. And listen, I can lie with the best of them. And these guys are lying to a liar, effectively. So, yeah, there's just me. I can't even think off the top of my head, but there's thousands of outsourcing fails. Do your due diligence, cut the crap, tell these people you've had some of it before, and they soon shut up. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of what you wanted there. Stephen Stewart, thoughts on automating webinars for affiliate and running Facebook ads? What do you mean by automating webinars for affiliate? Now, I kind of get what you're going to say, I think, but nothing beats that manual interaction when it comes to webinars and stuff like that. Now, I do know people who have made Facebook videos or webinars, if you want to call it that, based around affiliate products and stuff like that, and running Facebook ads to it and blah, 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 blah. And they've made money. Yes, it can work. So that can work. But I'm not sure if you'd call it automating a webinar. But if I've picked that up wrong, feel free to reword it, Stephen. But I think that's what you're asking. But if not, just give me a slap and say, Craig, no. This is what I mean, and I'll try and answer it the best I can. Itamar, early Monday lives. God, it's that bloody early, I can't even get my words out. But yeah, early Monday live. I've not done one for a few weeks, Itamar. The guys that done the free SEO course have always got beginner questions, and I try and do one of these a week just to answer, you know, the basic questions that are out there for people that maybe they don't want to ask on other shows. So yeah, I try and do that here, mate. Kylie Wilson, can a website rank on first page with plagiarism content? And if yes, can it stay for a long time in first page? So have I ever seen duplicate content ranking in page one? Yes. There's many people who use mass page builders such as SERPshaker and stuff like that, and they have page one rankings that have stuck for a long time. However, those are normally for very low searched and low competition keywords. If you think you're going to rank for something like plumbers in London with 99% duplicate content, then you can think again. So yes, it can work. It can work in certain industries, certain niches, and it can, you know, I know people have been getting away with it for years. So it can work, but for anything remotely competitive, you're wasting your time. You've just simply got to accept that we have to do a bit more work on the more competitive stuff, and that starts with some unique content. So hopefully that answers your question there, Kylie. David Holgate, do you think SEO is easier or harder now than when you first started? You know, it's a no-brainer to say it's a hell of a lot harder now than it was when I first started. You know, back then it was just a case of slapping up a bit of content and that was it. You know, and then when it got a little bit more difficult, you could buy an exact match domain name, slap up a bit of content, and it still worked. You know, there was blog comments, you know, directory postings, all that crap of the day, you know, was all the rage, and, you know, just doing anything really worked. And then obviously everyone joins in and tries to do stuff, and Google are looking for, you know, more from us all these days. And yeah, but it was good fun back in the day, and I'd love to go back. I just don't think I realised how easy and simple it was at the time. And I do sometimes go, fuck, you know, you could have just basically dominated everything and anything back then, and you didn't, because you were a lazy bandit and you were drinking all your money away. But you don't know what you don't know at the time. And but it would be amazing to turn back the clock and go back to those times, mate, where it was just so fucking easy. And yeah, I do miss those days, but it's still enjoyable these days as well, as long as you get the systems right and processes right. But it obviously costs you a bit more money and more links and more everything. So there you go. And who the hell is Jimmy? Jimmy beat you. Hello, Mr. Paul Hogden. Good to see you. Praveen, how to find an expired domain which is not penalized by Google. So Praveen, my process would be to get an expired domain name. I use Spamzilla, which has got some spam scores and stuff like that in there. You can obviously check the backlink profile and everything else and get an idea of whether it's spam to death or not. But also part of my process would be to repurpose the website. And the reason I repurpose it and try and put up what was previously there is to see if the rankings and everything else recover. If they recover, then I've got a good idea that Google still likes that website and something can be done with it. If it struggles to recover, the chances are it may have been penalized and I may need to do some other additional work to make sure that Google likes that again. But, part of my process is always to repurpose it. Same URL structure, same content and everything else, purely as part of the process to see if Google still likes that particular website, and then I'll do what I need to do after that with the website. A Scottish empty. Tori Austin, what do you think about comment backlinking? Does those help for ranking better, or is it just a waste of time? To be honest, there'll be someone out there who says it still works very well. For me, it's a waste of time. I'd much rather get a good quality guest post or something, or whatever it might be, a PR link or whatever you want to call it. I think blog commenting is just dated, it's saturated, and think of this, Tori. If there's a blog and it has any kind of value, so say it's a DR30, and there's 1,000 people commented in that blog, any value that comes to you is very, very minimal, if there is any value at all. So blog comments are no longer weighted as much as they used to be. That's a fact. And even if they were, it would be very minimal. So for me, it is pretty much a waste of time. That's how I think about it. Hopefully that helps. How to boost domain authority to 60 plus in 3 months. So I'm not going to tell you how, right? I'm going to share my screen for a second though. Give me 1 second. Just going to get Ahrefs up. So I've done a test, right? Based on this question. Now, does boosting your DR, now this was an old exact match domain that I used to have, Insurance Repairs Glasgow. It has quite a lot of unique content on it, but I didn't work on the website for many years and it just basically died. It doesn't rank for anything, it doesn't do anything. Now, people talk about getting a DR, DR 60 plus in 3 months or 1 month or whatever it's going to be. Does that alone, that single thing, move the needle in terms of your rankings? So I boosted this one and done nothing else, and it didn't move the keywords. So boosting your DR is kidding no one else but yourself on there. If you, by all means, push your DR and then build links to that and stuff like that, but that single trick alone is more to humor a client, keep them off your back, allow them to think you're doing better than what you are, and that's it. So the people who say that they boosted it to DR 60 plus and they're doing other things in addition to that to be able to make that work by boosting the DR alone and manipulating DR alone and not doing anything else will not do anything for you. So do not waste your time. Hi, Ibrahim. Paul, right, so Vansh, seeing a lot of doorway pages ranking well. What's your view on that? So for anyone who doesn't know what a doorway page is, so people put up other websites and use it as a doorway to their main website. And can that strategy work? Very old strategy. Yes, it can work. Is it the way to future-proof your business and build a business model up? Absolutely not, but it can work. So you need to weigh up the risk versus the rewards. People can do that, and with a view to maybe ranking their main website better longer term. So there's always a need for a lot of these things, but because it ranks well for now doesn't mean it's going to rank well forever. A lot of these pages do get penalized, they do get slapped, they do disappear, and for me, it's not a good long-term strategy is what I would say. So just be careful with it, but it can work short-term, and if used in the right way, can help you get a bit of a start and then go on and do bigger and better things. How to rank a website. There's plenty of places you can Google that will tell you that. Ibrahim, I'm not being rude, but that kind of question is not something I can really answer on a question and answer section. How to rank a website is something that can take hours and hours and hours to explain, and not suited to a question and answer session where you need to be more specific. So there you go. Ibrahim Raza has asked the same question. How to rank a website. Guys, if you don't know how to rank a website, maybe do a course or something like that. But I can't tell you how to rank a website here. I don't know where you're going wrong. I'm not interested in auditing your website or anything like that. I'm here to try and do some question and answers for people who kind of understand what they're doing. So Stephen Stewart, yeah, man, same sort of lines there. There's a site called Easy Webinar and automates a webinar a day. It looks live and then automates the email follow-up. So yeah, mate, try it out. People do that stuff. You can do reasonably well with it, so to speak. What I would say is a lot of people are not going to watch those webinars as such, unless the product is relevant to them. So in terms of the email following and everything else, as long as the email list and everything's right, and segmented enough so that you're hitting the right people, then of course it can work. It can also work by sheer brute force and luck as well. So yeah, try it out, mate. I think with things like that, Stephen, I've seen the likes of Holly Starks having massive success with that in the past, and I think it can be effective. It's one of those ones that can really work well if you're lucky, and can be a massive waste of time in other ways. But I think you have got to try these things out and see what works best for you, and add your own formula to it as well. So 100% try it, mate, and see how successful it can be. But as Paul's saying, it can work, although people are getting wise about pretend live events. It's possibly better to really do a real live event, or be clear that the event isn't live. Yeah, so the restream stuff, I used to punt stuff out there and kid on I was live, and stuff like that. And obviously you can pretend you're alive and sit in a live chat and talk away and all that stuff, but it's just as easy to just do the live event as far as I'm concerned. But obviously for what you're doing, products and stuff, it's a different ball game. So yeah, try it out, mate. Be curious to see how well that works for you. Tori Austin, how important is it nowadays, the backlinking? Should we care more in content? Content is king, or both have value? Both have value, Tori. Content is king. You cannot rank for anything without content. But in competitive markets, backlinking is very, very important. And anyone who says it's not is not a real SEO as far as I'm concerned. Of course, there's the arguments where people rank page one for specific search terms, and yeah, they can get success from it. But in competitive markets, link building is pretty much a big part of the strategy. Content and links are the two key components and have been for many years. And I would always attribute some budget towards the links, but how much should you do at the start? I think content heavy at the start, and then potentially going link heavy once you've got a lot of content is always the way I would go. But you'll find the balance, but you've got to do both, in my opinion. So hopefully that helps. Ibrahim Raza. So Ibrahim Raza, if you're still watching, I actually did block his comment, Paul, because he was just asking basic stuff. But yeah, start with citations, but understand what SEO is before building citations, and understand what your website's weaknesses are. Might not be citations in that instance. You know, the person might already have citations and they're expecting more from you as the SEO guy. So every job is different. Chris Stapps, hey, hope your injury heals well. Thank you. No injury, it's just a little haircut, shall we call it? But yeah, it's all going well. My question, do you think the hub category pages are important? And if I no follow the category pages, does it affect my silo or it has bad effect? I mean, it's hard to say without seeing it, but you know, hub pages, category pages are important, an important part of SEO. Of course they are. You know, for example, if you're selling, you know, clothing, if you like, and you've got a shoes section, it's important to have that category, you know, that people can easily get to shoes. It's also important to show Google this is the shoe section and stuff like that. So if you were to no follow the category pages, of course it will have a bad effect. You know, if you're just blanket no following all your category pages, you know, then, you know, pretty much your product pages and then, you know, some other stuff might rank, but your category pages don't. Now, we want your category pages to rank for kind of generic terms, your products pages to rank for product specific. And that is how you're supposed to affect your, you know, do your silo. Now, if you're going to just no follow stuff, of course, it will have a negative impact. You're supposed to no follow things if you do not want Google to rank those pages. For example, you may sell black trainers, black Adidas trainers, right? And they may come in a size 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Do you need the URL for, you know, all of those different size variations to be crawled and indexed by Google? Absolutely not. You only need the product page to rank well. You do not need those other variations because it's going to look like duplicate content. Google's not going to know whether it's the size 7 URL that's supposed to rank or the size 6 or the size 5. So you run into cannibalization problems, which is why you want to add that technical element to your website where you're blocking out certain parts of the e-commerce, you know, structure, if you like. So be very careful what you block out, and make sure that Google can crawl and index what it needs to crawl and index, which can also include category pages. So yes, be careful what you do there. Hopefully that explains it a little bit better. Hiya, Mr. Kumar. Paul Hogden is answering some questions. Good on you, Paul. Kyle Arnold, the guy's asking how to rank a website. Buy one, test it out, and break some things. Learning that will teach you a lot about ranking websites. He's right. Try it out. Hi, what's your best on-page SEO techniques? Rank website and fast position. Listen, there is no fast position that I can tell you about. There's a process where you're going to do research. You're going to add content to a website. Your content's going to follow the process that you have, whether you run that through POP or, you know, what research process you do. You then got to add your internal links. You've got to then build links at that page. You've got to do a whole bunch of stuff in order for your page to rank. There is no fast SEO technique, and everyone's techniques or processes are different. For example, I will do keyword research. I will then research that keyword on POP, Page Optimizer Pro. Now, the reason I do that is so that I've got a rough idea on how much content I need for a given search term based on the top 10 search results. I do not blanketly just say every page should be 1,000 words or every page should be 900 words or whatever it's going to be. I do the research, I dig deeper, I use the tools that are available to me to come up with what is on the top 10 search results. I will then try and match that or better it I will then add my internal links. I will then, tweak a few bits here and there, and maybe add schema, do whatever else, and that page goes live. That's kind of my process in a kind of quick nutshell, if you like. Someone else may have something different. They may use different tools. They may use different process, and they may have their reasons behind that. So no one way works the best, and there is no quick way to rank a website. There's a process to be followed. Do it quicker, you'll get quicker rankings, but there is a process and a cost to that process, in terms of, getting the staff to do the work, fitting it into your workflow, doing the research and all that stuff. So speed is not imperative, in my opinion. Getting the job done properly is. Gary, perhaps for another day, can you show us your favourite Chrome extensions and how to utilise them? Again, I could do a video on that. I think I might have done a video on that before. But because there's only 4 minutes left, Gary, I'll leave that one for today. But yeah, for sure, I've got a couple of cool Chrome extensions that help me, and so could also help you. Dreamers TV, sir, fast page, then how to get a website. No idea on what you mean for that. So sorry, dudes. Hello to everyone. I'd like to know how many different schema in JSON LD should include. In the past, our dear John Mueller said it's okay to include JSON schema even in the body. So with schema, you can use, you can manually create your own schema, which can work. I'm not sure what you mean in how many different types of schema. Obviously, if you wanted to add FAQ schema to get the FAQs, you would add that on, or how-to schema, or same as schema if you were referring to your social media profiles or whatever. So there's certain schema for certain types of things, and I wouldn't just be including randomly all sorts of schema on there that are not relevant. But if it is relevant to what you're trying to achieve, then add that. But yeah, add schema. That's it. I'm not sure how many different types of schema there are. If there's good and bad stuff or whatever. I wouldn't claim to be a schema expert. As such, I use WordLift as a plugin in my website for some basic stuff. But on other pages, it's just manually created, and that's it. I'm not sure there is any other way or any other special types of schema as far as I'm concerned. I know there is how to, same as, blah, 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 blah. But other than that, that I roll with that, and it's working well. So there you go. Local business FQ. Oh, yeah. So you don't want to spam your schema. So you put that on there. You don't want to spam your schema. Just do what's relevant. If it's going to be FAQ schema at the bottom of a page, where you're, answering some questions, like I've done actually. So I'll show you an example. So if I Google the search term CTR manipulation, I used to rank well for this. Well, I still do. So I used to rank well, and it was just that little bit there that showed. Obviously, if I had FAQ schema, within a day, I got these kind of little drop downs to take up more of the landscape. Now, why did I do that? Because Ryan Houghton done it, and I thought, well, he's doing it, so I'm going to do it. He's added 2, so I'm adding 3. So, see what the competition are doing and take from them what type of schema they're doing and implement it in your own website. That's the perfect example I can give you there for that search term. Ryan Houghton done it. He was challenging me for a keyword, and I thought, to hell with him. he's not getting away with that. So he was the only person on page 1 with that schema, and as far as I'm concerned, his thing stood out. So I want to match it. So match the competition. So what is the best schema to use? See what the competition are doing and just replicate that. That's the best advice I could give you, man. So Pankaj, I gave some of that out just a moment ago. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate that. It's always good. Hopefully you're enjoying what I'm doing here. And also, call me Ephemos. Good man. Yeah, it's a hell of a lot harder to say than, yeah, I can't even read. read what your name says. So yeah, Ephemos is what I'll call you. Illuminati, your bro. We're often asked by our clients, how long does it take to see the results from SEO? Search engine optimization is a combination of various efforts and time. Yes, it's also budget comes into that as well. Illuminati, and I'm sure you'll agree. You know, you could get a guy that says to you, "I've only got $500 a month to pay you," and you look at his website and you're like, "Well, probably for the first 4 months, I'm going to have to clean up this mess of a website and do a whole lot of on-page." Are you going to get amazing results in that first 4 months just by doing that? Absolutely not. Would you get better results if you spent £2,000 a month and you were also building links and doing everything else in sequence with what you're doing? The answer is yes. So, you know, I think, you know, budget and time and all of that kind of stuff do come into play, and that's what is, you know, but people always want something done quick. Come on, let's, you know, show me how to rank the quickest. Nothing good comes quick. We've got, as we all know, we've all got a lot of other stuff to do. And yeah, just comes down to how much of that we can actually get done with the time that we've got available, which is why you should work smart, use automation where possible, delegate as much as you possibly can, and work smart, not hard. Now, Tori Austin, can an expired domain re-rank the same again if we restore it from the archive? If it's not been spammed to death, then yes, it can, Tori. You can revive an old domain, get the rankings back, and then tweak it, add it, you know, change it around, do whatever you want from there on in, which is why that's part of my process when I'm using expired domains. I want to make sure it does re-rank, or it, you know, Google still does like it, and then at that point I can either repurpose it as a PBN, repurpose it and use it as an affiliate website, or whatever I might choose to do with that at that point, Tori. So hopefully that helps you. Seth Marketing, hey Craig, hope you're well. Best expired domain hunting process in a nutshell. How are you finding the killer drop domains for the registration price? So Seth, I use Spamzilla. The Spamzilla shows you stuff like metrics. It also shows you when domains are expiring or at auction. Now, let's be totally honest with ourselves here. There's no killer domain names that just simply drop and no one else takes. You've got drop catchers who are waiting in the wings to grab these, and then they will sell them on to you, you know, for $100 or $200 or whatever the price is, because people know the value of these domains. So unless you're a drop catcher, you're pretty much done. You know, in terms of catching stuff for yourself, you're just not going to beat them because they've got tons of accounts pinging when these are dropping, and you don't have the software or the capacity to grab those, which is why it's always good to keep a good drop catcher on your friends list. Secondly, I look at auctions, because obviously the auction, you may need to pay a little bit more, but it's not the same as a drop-in process. So you can just go and grab it at auction before it does expire, and then it really comes down to how much money you're willing to pay. And I think you can get some gems at an auction. But over and above that, honestly, there is no trick or any special place where there's going to be killer drop domains that no one else wants. Anything that does drop is basically the shit that no one else wants, as far as I'm concerned. But if you see up there, odys.global, they do drop catching. They grab a whole lot of expired domains, or age domains, and they do done for you websites and stuff like that. You can sign up and buy them on there as well. You know, there's stuff for a couple $100, there's stuff for thousands of bucks, you know, depending on the metrics and everything else. So hopefully that helps you. Also, PBN hosting. I'm not a fan of any PBN hosting because they always leave footprints. Sadly, I'm very old school and I use just cheap, hosting from a whole bunch of different people. I'm not sitting here saying for a second that one PBN has one hosting account. There might be 2 or 3 or whatever, but the stuff is pretty much segmented out on different IPs, on different servers with different hosting companies, so that the domain set, the DNS settings, the everything is all different, and that is not the most cost-effective way to work. But I've also tried GoPBN in the past, Easy Blog Networks, and a whole bunch of other stuff, and I'm just not a fan, just not a great success with those particular PBN hosting companies. So I've always kept it kind of old school, and that's my way of working. Not, as I say, not the most cost-effective way, but for me, peace of mind is there, and it's not that expensive. As far as I'm concerned, in terms of PBNs, if your PBN can't pay for itself, then you're not doing it properly. So, yeah, hopefully that helps. Last question, and then I will shut up and let you guys get on with your work. Does it help if we redirect the expired domains till we restore to our money page? Does it help? No, you're just going to pass juice to your website. So it's not going to help in any real way. I mean, it will help if you're not going to be doing anything with it. But that juice and everything else may pass over to your money page. And then when you do go to restore it, there's nothing there left to pass. So as soon as I get the expired domain, I repurpose it, I power it up, and try and recover the old rankings. I may even build some other links to it to power it up a little bit more. And then I will decide whether it's a PBN or I do a 301 redirect. But what you'll see, Tori, and this is the final thing I'll say, if I buy a DR20, for example, expired domain, as soon as I repurpose it and it starts getting traffic and some of the old links kick back in, it will very often jump up to a DR40 again. And that's what I want, and that's why rebuilding it is part of my process. So hopefully that helps you. But sadly, we are out of time, guys. I don't want to waffle on for too much longer and bore you all to tears. But thank you very much. And I will, again, be back next Monday with some basic Q&As again. So speak to you all then. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.